We're on the local train heading to Pompeii. It's only about a 25-minute train ride from Sorrento. It costs you about $2 to get there. And admission to the site is about $8. You can go in on a guided walk, or you can just go in on your own, purchase a little guidebook, and figure it out for yourself. No matter how you see it, you're going to be impressed by these ruins. We're visiting probably the most famous archaeological site in the world, Pompeii. We're just south of Naples in Italy, and of course most people are familiar with the story of Pompeii. It's preserved because the volcano erupted and wiped out the city all at once. The ash filtered down over Pompeii, buried the city, buried its inhabitants, and it was left and forgotten for almost 2,000 years. It's been uncovered. For the last 200 years, work has been going on here doing the archaeology, and it has emerged into the premier archaeological site in the world. You'll learn a lot about Roman history when you come here and visit Pompeii. As we walk along these streets, it seems as if the occupants had just stepped out a moment or two ago. But they never did escape the wrath of Vesuvius, and some of them are still here in the form of plaster casts of their bodies. The catastrophic event on the afternoon of August 24th in the year 79 submerged Pompeii in an avalanche of ashes and pumice and volcanic mud, and brought life in this prosperous Roman town to a sudden and total stop. In the process, it preserved the buildings perfectly, and 200 years of archaeological excavations has uncovered nearly 3/5 of the entire city. The gardens have come back, some of the roofs are still standing, the walls are up, the pillars are up, the streets are beautifully paved, there's curbs and sidewalks. We now have a reasonably clear picture of how the city was built and organized. There's a small theater called the Odium. It would have had a roof originally, seating for 2,000 people, primarily for musical performances. And next to the Odium was a larger theater that could hold perhaps the entire town's population. It looks like you could put on a show there today. Next to the theaters is the arcaded courtyard of the gladiators. The Forum stands in the center of town. It would have been the place where the shops and social life was focused in ancient Pompeii. The archaeological work combined with the study of historic records has given us a picture of the life of the city. From the housing remains, we know there was a upper class living here in big palatial type houses with central courtyards. We know there was a middle class in smaller homes, and there was a poor class. There was a number of slaves. Perhaps 30% of the population here were slaves living in much smaller quarters. There's a snack bar at Pompeii if you need a break from the heat, if you need to sit down, if you want some food, some ice cream, take a break in the midst of your explorations, and then continue roaming around looking at these amazing sights. There were some large public buildings that show the development of a strong bureaucracy. This rich man's house has a "Beware of Dog" sign in the form of a floor mosaic. As you gaze at the faces of the victims, you're struck by the immediacy of this ancient tragedy. It is as if just yesterday some sudden and dreadful natural catastrophe had overwhelmed everything familiar and left the empty buildings standing. You can see the sophistication of Roman engineering with these dome concrete vaulted buildings. These were public bathhouses. Unfortunately, the people did not get out of these splendid surroundings alive. They were buried in the ashes. The benefit to us is that from the ruins of Pompeii, we have gained our best glimpse into daily life in ancient Rome. So we've benefited quite a bit in understanding the ancient history of our own civilization. For example, here's a corner tavern. Marble bar, step right up. There's houses, there's shops, there's large clay ceramic vessels, major thoroughfares. An incredible sight to visit.